Hello everyone. I'm going to present on computer viruses in healthcare. This is an important topic because in different health facilities or different hospitals, we use computers, but these computers also uh, pose risks uh, to stakeholders. That is the risks to the owners of the health facilities, risks to patients, okay, and then also risks to the health workers themselves actually working within the hospital setting. So it's very important that we understand uh, the different ways in which we can identify these risks and also mitigate it. So the impact is that if we don't uh, carefully look at the risks that are posed uh, by our usage of computers, the risks are that there could be sensitive patient data that could be lost, and also that also means that uh, the hospital or the health facility is also likely to lose revenues because of such glitches in data systems associated with viruses. So these viruses malicious software programs that are designed to infect computers. And then the computers therefore become dysfunctional in a way. They don't work in a normal way. And therefore, one of the things that will happen is that data will be stolen, and this therefore it puts the hospital into a difficult situation because the issues to do with patient safety and privacy that are actually infringed on. So it is very critical that healthcare managers understand the risks associated with computer viruses and that they can actually procure secure computer systems with strong passwords and also backups instead there is any glitch that happens. So the implications are wide, and we should look at each of these in detail shortly. So the implications are that you don't want to have patient data lost or the patient data um, in a third party's hand. You don't want that data to reach there. So because that information is actually very sensitive. And you also don't want the financial information for a given health facility to be out there or to be accessed by unauthorized people, and also other information related to patient identification data, issues to do with uh, their age, what medical tests have been performed, and what are the readings associated with this information. You don't want the patient's name, age, and other particulars actually to be revealed to people that don't have any connection with the health facility. So the impact can be wide because, like I said earlier on, it can have impact on almost all the stakeholders for a given health facility. Yeah. So they can range from, of course, affecting the patient to affecting the operations, the daily operations of the hospital. Because within the hospital, we also have uh, programmed equipment. So if we have people have access to these computer programs that actually help the hospital equipment to run, then it means that they are going to disrupt the hospital operations. So this equipment may actually not be able to work because of this computer infringement. So it is very important that you take keen note of this. We have already talked about that patient data should always be protected, because if it is not, then it is going to it's likely going to cause an unauthorized access uh, to, to patient data. And also, we have medical equipments that are actually programmed and that are computer programmed, and they are being used by patients. And therefore, if we have a virus that prevents these devices to work in a normal way, then that is a very big issue. Data breaches actually also can occur when sensitive information has been stolen. This information can range from patient medical records and also financial information and personal identifying data. This data can range from the insurance number, or sometimes also issues to do with payment identification information. If you want to make payments, there are additional information that you actually have to enter such that you can make electronic payments. So you don't want people to have access to this personal identifying data, because they can use that information to access payments for the payments on behalf of the on behalf of the patient. So this is not actually something that you would want to happen. And therefore, the financial implications are actually very huge. For example, if patient identification information is obtained, that means that someone can actually steal money from that person's whatever means of payment they have. But also, the institution or the hospital can actually be sued for neglect or issues to do with. Okay, so this slide, as a result of, there should be a space there. Um, so what can also happen is that um, the unauthorized people can have access, to financial information that is linked to a particular hospital, and this therefore means that they can have the ability to actually effect transactions. And when this happens, that means that you're going to lose money. But also, the other thing that can happen is that um, uh, people can actually, or hackers can hack into the computer system for a hospital, and then demand for money to allow access to the same system. So that is something like it's like a ransom. Okay, so someone takes over your property and say, for me to give it back to you, you need to pay this amount of money. So that is a problem. So that is basically financial loss. Or the other thing is that if computer systems have been affected with viruses, then you need to do a cleanup. So there are expenses associated with making sure that these repairs are actually done, or if there are data that is actually lost, that data is actually recovered. And the recovery of this data actually will require money in different, of course, different amount. But also, if the hospital has been sued because the patient's data is in the hands of a third party without authorization, and it means that the hospital will have to represent themselves in court, and that means that those are legal fees that have to be paid. Yeah, so in different countries, we have regulations governing access to patient information. So if there are breaches that actually happen, that means that you have not maintained the legal and regulatory guidelines. You have not followed them, and therefore that means that you risk being delicensed, okay, or you risk being fined by the regulatory authorities. So it is very important that actually healthcare organizations comply with these regulations and make sure that computer systems are actually safe. So the computer viruses that can slow down computers, that can actually make it difficult for the user to access their computers, can fall into these categories. We have what we call malware, which is basically the general term to describe different types of computer viruses that actually slow down or even slow down or actually steal computer data. So we have the ransomware, we have the trojans, we have the worms, and then the spyware. So we can look at each of these. Of course, I said malware is a general term that is used to refer to any malicious software designed to disrupt the way a computer works, or it's basically designed to steal data. So the ransomware is a type of malware that actually encrypts data on a computer system and it demands a ransom to be paid such that they can have access to this. So we move to the next one, which are the Trojans, or the Trojans. These ones are malware that actually distinguish themselves as, as okay. The Trojans are a malware that actually disguise themselves as a legitimate software. So you see something that you actually looks like a software, a genuine software, but it's not actually a software. And this actually happens a lot in even on our phones, on our smartphones. So you see something like an application, and you're like, okay, it looks a good application. It can do some work for me. So you click on it, but basically it is a malware. Then all of a sudden you start to realize that your computer is actually slowing down. It's not, or your smartphone is slowing down. It's not working as it used to do. It freezes every now and then. It's very slow. The screen is not actually very sensitive now. So those are the Trojans. And then we have the worms. These ones are malware programs that can actually, if they infect one computer, the other computers within the computer systems are going to be infected. So they replicate very fast. So basically, we have looked at the Trojan, the malware, the spyware. Uh, uh, okay, so the spyware slide will move before this one. Yes. Okay, so now we move to the spyware, which is basically one that is designed to monitor computers, computer activities and collect sensitive information. So this program, if it is infected or installed onto a computer, someone is able to see what is taking place on your computer, and then it collects this data and then relays it to that person. That's what is what we call spyware. Where so it is definitely very, very, very important that the healthcare organizations actually protect the organization from all these malware programs. One way, of course, is to install antivirus programs, firewalls, and also regularly updating computer systems and having backups just in case. So antivirus software can protect the computer from viruses, but it can also remove viruses from a computer. Okay, so you need to have, in most cases, we have commercial antivirus software that you can actually buy and then install into your computer, such that you protect your computer from all these viruses. So it's very important that when you buy these antivirus, you regularly actually scan the computers such that you remove all of them. Firewall protection is, for example, if we have a computer network system and we don't, we have a firewall that protects other people from actually entering into our computer system. A firewall can, for example, happen. For example, if you have, let us basically say, if you have a hospital website and you don't want people from other places to actually visit the website. So, for example, it can detect that someone who wants to to visit the website is not from that very country where the hospital is, then the person will not access. So that is like denying access to computer systems. Because often people who actually send viruses to our computers are actually people who are far away from us. So if you deny, if you it's like creating a fence that you don't want people to access computer systems. So regularly update computer programs. It is very important because you computer programs usually can have issues to do with vulnerabilities. That means that then there are loopholes that can be used by hackers to manipulate or to inject viruses into the software. So continuously, each program that you use, these vulnerabilities are detected and then quick action is taken. So when action is taken by way of fixing these bugs and vulnerabilities, it means that for you to have to make sure that these vulnerabilities don't happen, that is when now you actually uh, update the program. The staff need to be trained to understand the risks associated with computer viruses and the financial risks actually associated, such that they can actually avoid issues to do with using programs that they're not aware of, that they don't understand, and also opening emails that are actually very suspicious. Like that, because if they have their computers infected, it is likely that the other computers within the network can actually be infected. So it is very important for all the staff to be trained and educated on the importance of and understanding issues to do with computer viruses. So if within a hospital there is an issue of so the other thing that all the staff actually need to be aware of is uh, if they see an incident that is actually suspicious, or if there is a computer infection by viruses, they should understand how they are going to communicate this such that actions actually taken to prevent future occurrence. When they do this, this is what we call incident response planning. It's very, very important that you have systems in place where any staff can actually report issues that are associated with computer security, such that actions can actually be taken and the concerned persons can actually be actually notified. This is very key. But overall, you don't want to be in a hospital where there is no cyber security plan. A cyber security plan is very important uh, for it to be in place because you never know what kind of attack you're going to get. So if you have a plan in place, it means that you are aware of which precautions to take. So it is very important to have a comprehensive cyber security plan to mitigate issues that can arise. So these actually involve issues to do with the different guidelines and procedures to protect computer viruses. And actually also the other important part is uh, how regularly computers should be updated. Who does actually the updating? What softwares are you going to use in updating? Also in what antivirus software are going to use. This is also very important too. But the other role is also to check within the computer systems to see that the areas that actually need improvement in regards to security risks. This is actually very key. One very important thing that can actually be undertaken is ensuring that we have a two-factor authentication mechanism. So, for example, if I find a computer on my table, I open it. I shouldn't just open it one way, just by inserting my password, and that's all. That actually has a risk, that because if in any way someone else knows my password, they can just come and enter the password, and they have access to the computer. However, if you have what you call the two-factor authentication, it means that even if you have my password, there is also another thing that you have to enter, such that you can access the computer. So it could be an email that is being sent to your email. So when you enter your password, and then an email is sent, okay, and then that email contains a code. So I get that code and then enter, then I can open the computer. So it means if there is someone else who knew my password, and then they enter it rightly, but again the computer will not open because the code has been sent to my email, but they don't have the password to my email. Or it could be that the code is sent to my phone, that is an SMS. So I get the code and then enter it. Or the computer will request for, let us take fingerprint. Okay? So these are issues that actually can help in mitigating or in making sure that people don't have unauthorized access to your computers. Have backup plans. That means that you, as a hospital, you could have your data stored on servers, but these servers actually have to also be backed up, such that if we have a breach somewhere, there is somewhere that we can cover this data from. It's very key. Continuously check. This is very important. Check the systems to see what are the latest threats, what are the best practices for virus protection. Skip that. Skip that. Skip that. Thank you very much for listening to this. You will edit that. So in this session, we have realized that computer viruses actually cause a lot of problems uh, to health facilities or hospitals, and therefore it is therefore very important for healthcare managers to understand the risks associated with this, and they can work with IT specialists to make sure that vulnerabilities threats actually mitigated, or there are actually plans or guidelines to make sure that if issues happen, they can actually be handled. Thank you very much.